Hi, everybody. It's Michelle Hill, your legacy builder at Winning Proof. And I'm going to veer from my usual format of interviewing today. And I know that I have interviewed Sherry before. She is my ghostwriter extraordinaire, I will say.
Aw.
And we're not going to do that today. We're just going to have a conversation about the importance of legacy memoirs and how crucial that is to leave a footprint behind. And so, Sherry, thank you for coming on today. I know you're getting ready to go on vacation. I'm getting ready for a week-long trip to Denver next week. So we just grabbed this time.
Yeah, glad to do it. Glad to be here.
Yeah, so we just want to talk about Sherry actually created a new website for us. It's memoirlegacy.com, and I will put that in the notes. But Sherry, kind of describe, I know you've done classes before on legacy, creating legacy memoirs. So kind of describe that a little bit and describe why you feel that it's so important to do this for a family's posterity.
Yeah, so many families or people that I've met that have that I've done their memoir for, they just want to share their stories, especially stories that they feel that a lot of the family members don't know. Even maybe what they went through in their earlier years to how they got to where they got. Maybe going into that a little bit more detail. And probably the most important is sharing their wisdom, sharing the lessons that they've learned, and how that is going to help their family who reads the memoir, but also others. I mean, I can't begin to tell you how many kind of more combination memoir self-help books I've done, which has been fascinating. And to learn, what people went through to get their success and even failures, what they learned from their failures. So that is probably the most rewarding and the most benefit from writing a memoir.
Yeah, I think so. And Sherry is working, which we won't mention the client's name, but she is working on one of my client's memoirs that is, and I keep telling this client, his memoir is movie worthy. It's
Yes, it
so
is.
fascinating, and the history of his family is so fascinating. It would make a really good series or movie or something. So Sherry is working on that and working with him. But like, I see the main I think the main obstacle that people hesitate to do that is that they're going to tell all they're going to air their family's dirty laundry
Ah,
and and all that. So let's talk about that for a minute and say, okay, if somebody is really afraid of that or very concerned because family members might still be alive and they don't want to get sued for one thing, but
sure.
they want to tell their family story. Like, how do you approach that when you're writing a memoir?
Yeah, there's a number of ways. One that is creating a pen name for the author so that they change their name completely and that anybody reading it, unless they personally know that that person wrote the book, then they're not going to realize who that person is. So that's one.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to remain true to themselves and be the author and put the name there, then obviously we work with discretion in telling the story. Also, kind of paraphrasing, if you will, or kind of prefacing what they want to say, that this is their experience. This is what they remember about the situation. Realizing that others may have a different viewpoint, different opinion, different view of what happened in a specific situation, but recalling what happened with them, how they saw it. So those are other ways. The other way is obviously changing the names in the book and or not using names at all, just referencing a situation.
Mhm.
So those are the ways to get around it.
Yeah, and I think that those are good points because I think that is a real concern for people. And there's a saying that says it's not what happened to us, it's what we think, what we feel, what happened to us. It's
Yes.
what we think about what happened to us. And so I think your point is so valid that you might have 5 siblings that experienced the same household, but all 5 experienced it a different way. And if all 5 wrote a memoir, it would be 5 different perspectives depending on the viewpoint and how each one experienced the mom and dad, how each one experienced their siblings and surrounding circumstances. So it is truly on the writer's viewpoint of how they experienced the situations.
Right, exactly. And then this is also a very good way to kind of share how they got through the situation,
Mhm.
maybe what they learned from it, but mostly how they came through it. And I think that's what makes for a great memoir, learning what the person went through. And especially, this is so helpful to many people who read the book that might be going through the same or something similar. And it helps them realize they're not alone and that others have gone through this before them. And this is a way that they found to deal with it in a more successful manner.
Yeah, absolutely. That is. And the lessons we learn through
Oh my
life,
God.
and the mistakes we overcome and
Right.
we learn from, we call them opportunities for growth in the
Yeah,
personal development world, right?
exactly.
And all
Exactly.
of us have had many opportunities for growth. But I think it's so important. I've been leaving a lot of Instagram reels lately on this very topic. And it's like, I really think it's important for family members to know where they come from
Yeah.
and why they're like they are. Like, why do I like to drink from a glass mug? Well, if you trace your family's history and somebody tells that story, then, oh, that's
Yeah.
why. That's why I like whatever, just different
Exactly.
circumstances. So it really helps family members understand themselves and their patterns as well. And
Yes.
for you to be able to write, to capture that and capture the essence, because I know it's really important for you to, like, you're not the author of the book. You
Right.
are the ghostwriter, and it's your role to capture all the essences of the person telling their story.
Yes, an operative word being ghost. No one has to know that they hired a ghostwriter to go through the process.
Yeah.
Certainly, it's not, some are fine about it. Others have been very adamant about going, no, I don't want anyone to know. And there's nothing wrong with that. And there's nothing shady about hiring a ghostwriter. It's not strange or anything that the fact that I don't want to necessarily take credit for the book. My job is to make the author look good, get their story told, and get it done in a timely manner. But I think probably the best reason for hiring a ghostwriter is because we ask the right questions.
Yes.
We kind of draw things out of them and also ask things that the reader would want to know. But often they're so close to the story that they don't even think that maybe, oh, that's not an important detail. No, yes, it is. So let's talk about that. So it ends up being a very, interactive process to get that book done. Yeah, very.
Yeah.
You develop an intimate, it's a close relationship working with a ghostwriter. You
Yeah,
really,
absolutely. And as a recovering ghostwriter, I did do that for 6 years, and it started to really drain the life out of me. Things have a season, and
yeah,
that the 6 years was a season for me. But one thing I really used to tell my clients, and I know subscribe to this too, is that it's your story. There's nothing unethical about hiring a ghostwriter. And I used to tell my clients, I'm just taking your words and making them pretty on the page.
yeah,
That's what you do, is take
exactly.
their words and make them pretty on the page. And
Yes,
most people are not natural writers. There are natural writers out there, but most people, especially when it comes to their story, they just need that outside prompting and the help. And like you said, you just help ask the right questions. You just ask them to pull out and draw out those stories, and really the good, the bad, and the ugly. The stories are not all woo woo,
Right.
they're not all butterflies and Tinkerbell. Most of our stories have some grooves in them.
Oh, yeah.
So how do you as a ghostwriter approach people who say, "Ooh, I don't want to tell that," and or like how if you think it's an important part of the storyline, are there ways that you coax stories out of authors?
Yeah, oh yeah. And in some cases I do. If they feel if it's a too sensitive topic, then we might just touch on it, but
Hmm.
not go into deep detail.
Yes.
And then in other cases, I've had authors where they go into the nitty gritty to the point where I'm like, you know what, we need to kind of dial back a little, and that sort of thing. So I really kind of ride that wave and see where we go with it. But it's different for each person. But it's a collaborative effort for sure. Just giving my input as to what I think the reader would want to know about it, and also on their end, the author. It's important it's their story.
Exactly. Yeah. And our tagline is your story matters.
Yeah,
And we really want to stress that is that, oh, people tend to say, nobody knows me. I'm not famous. I'm not anybody that anybody, knows. But your story matters. What
yes.
you've gone through in your life matters. What the lessons that you've learned matter. And especially to your family. So these legacy memoirs are a testament to your resilience
Yes,
and to your strength and to your areas of weakness even.
exactly.
It's a testament to that, and that you're still standing. So just add to that.
Right. I mean, and it's our job as as a ghostwriter to bring that story to life.
Mhm.
It's still their ideas, their story, what they went through, and so on. But we just bring, like you said, make the it read well, kind of have some continuity there. And I get a lot of questions about, well, should I make it just from the time I'm born to the time, we're at now? Well, in some cases, yes, that is kind of more of an autobiography, if you will, just taking them from the beginning to end. In other cases, we start with where they're at now
Mhm.
and then go into how we got there, and then start going into the childhood, and then and building up to that point. So it's always very different, but I don't make that, or we don't make that decision until I kind of have everything down on paper, so to speak, and then it allows us to look at it and then map out a little plan.
Yeah, exactly. And I always, told my clients to also is that an autobiography is a story about a life. Like you said, I was born on this date and this bubble, these circumstances. A memoir is a story from a life.
Yeah. Yes.
Usually it starts with maybe a traumatic or dramatic situation, and exactly like you said, you build the story around that. And Sherry is the author of 200 books, uh, over 200 probably by now, but they're not all memoirs. They're
No.
a cornucopia of a whole bunch of different types of books, but she loves to do memoirs. So what, and I don't want it to be an interview thing, but I love to ask questions. And
Okay.
so for you as a ghostwriter, it's like when people come to you, or they might come to me too, and say, I can't afford that. That's so expensive. I don't have the disposable income to pay for that. Let's talk about some of the options that we offer that can help solve that problem.
Yes, one of the first questions I ask prospective authors that are trying to get their book done: have you researched what it costs to get a ghostwriter to do your book? And I'm telling you right now, it'll range in anything from, probably the lowest is about 5,000 for a memoir. That's the lowest. Up to 60,000,
Yes.
75,000. Yeah.
Yep.
So what I like to do, we are more in the
Mm.
low to mid range for sure. We want to make it affordable and make it an opportunity so that people can do that and get their book done. And so I like to break it up into monthly installments that they can afford. What can they work with? And if it means that we're going to take a couple months longer to get the memoir done, so be it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it is. So we are definitely open to working with authors to find a budget that they're comfortable with.
Yeah, I love that. And that eases a lot of people. Now, there are some authors that come to us and say, I'm a decent writer. I think I'd like to take a stab at this myself. And so that's one of the things that we can look at when an
Yeah.
author comes to us and says, hey, I think I'm a decent writer. I've written some things. And then, you can work with them on maybe their first 3 chapters, maybe just the structure, and get them on a good pace for that.
Yes.
And then they can kind of take, and you can be I'm the book and publishing consultant. So I do the behind the scenes. That's where my sweet spot is I take them from, yes, I want to write a memoir, a legacy memoir, all the way to upload to publishing on Amazon and Ingram and all that. So that's where I just find the most delight
Mm-hmm.
doing all that nitty gritty. But as a ghostwriter too, it's like you can work with them to get their story if they want to write it themselves, but you can act as a consultant, a writing consultant as well.
Oh, yes. And there's many cases where I have run into that. In fact, I'm just finishing up one right now where a young woman had written several chapters and they were good.
Yeah.
Got to admit they were good. But in order she was going to use this for her business. And, a book, in order to kind of give the author credibility, if you will, a book needs to be at least 100 pages. Ideally, 150, 175 is the sweet spot. Under 200 pages for sure. Anything more than that is kind of like overwhelming. You're overwhelming the reader in a lot of cases. So in that case, sometimes it's good to do a book series where you have maybe 2 or 3 in a row, that kind of thing. But so I took the chapters and went through them, and now what I would do is just ask questions about specific topics she addressed.
Right.
And a lot of times they're so close to the content. It's like they already know that. They already know this, that, and the other, but the reader doesn't necessarily, right? So, and then a lot of times I will ask them questions to give me an example, especially their own personal experience with that. That's what brings a book to life and
Yeah.
engages the reader. Yeah. So that's something we definitely will be happy to help with.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know our website is memoirlegacy.com, and the whole focus of it, because you have your own website, Sherry Writes for You, which we will include in the notes, and I have winningproof.com, which is my own website. And then we kind of join forces, because we just talked about the importance of getting your family story and for future generations. So I think I'd like to kind of talk about the point of just the importance of, I don't know, I know we've talked about the importance of future generations, but what if somebody just, that's all they want it for? They don't want it for business. They don't want it for anything. I just had a client who published his memoir, and it was basically just for family.
Yeah.
And so how do you approach it, or what can you speak on that is just, that's all it's for? Would that be structured a little different than if they said, I don't want it on Amazon, this is just for my family's posterity? So
Yeah. To be honest, no, I don't change it because it's important that we get it right for the family. Frankly, I don't care if we're, writing this just for one family member or
good.
a zillion readers. If it's going to impact that one person's life, love it, love it. So no, it's important to get the memoir done right, whether they use it for business or it's just for family. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because the story is still the story no
Yeah.
matter what.
Yeah. And we just help you get it done. I mean, I can't tell you how many times people have told me, well, I've been working on this for a while and or whatever, and they just kind of hit a roadblock.
Yeah.
Or they just don't find the time. I mean, I also work with a lot of people that still work for full time.
Yes.
They don't have, hours like we do as ghostwriter um,
Mhm.
to write the book. That's what I do. I spend my day writing their book
Yeah.
and, spend 6 hours. I mean, but I'm thinking about it when I'm washing the dishes,
Yes.
making the bed, doing my hair. I'll think, oh, I need to ask this question, or we should add this for a chapter, or whatever it is. So it's not just about the writing, it's also a lot about the thought processes that go through it.
Oh, that's so true. And I remember that I used to do that too. And I used to tell my clients a lot of what I do is thinking about it.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what you said. It just became not my sweet spot. So I'm so thankful for you that that is your gifting. And we're both, I think it works so well because we're both operating in our gifting, in
Yes.
what you love what you do. I love what I do. And we just can make all those pieces come together. So as we kind of wrap up, is there anything else that you think we missed in that people that need to write their legacy memoirs need to know?
Yeah, just keep in mind that you want your readers to walk away knowing you
Oh, perfect.
and a particular experience that you've lived through, but on a deeper level. But again, applying their own understanding to the story. And that's what we draw out as the ghostwriter. So I hope that we can work with you or meet with you. If you've got a story idea or a memoir idea, we would love to hear from you for sure.
Absolutely. And there is a scheduling link on the website, memoirlegacy.com. So you can schedule a time, a day, a time that works best for you. And, it's no obligation if you want to spend 20 minutes or so and we can get your idea, what you have in mind, what kind of story you want to tell. And then if you think it's not a good fit, okay, that's okay. But we think that once we talk to you, that you will be like, oh yeah, I'm in good hands. I know I'm in good hands. And that's our whole goal. But we do offer that, and we would love to help you because we just fully and wholly believe in what we're doing and how important it is.
Yeah, for sure. Their
Yeah.
story matters for sure.
Yeah, your story matters.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody. I hope you found a lot of value in this. If you know anybody, maybe you don't want to write your memoir. Maybe you know somebody, friends, colleagues, family that really would benefit from that. Let us know. We're nice. We're, we're wonderful to work with. And I can say that.
Yeah.
Honestly, I know we are. And so we just, welcome that. And until next time, I'll call this another episode of Winning Proof Unscripted.